glad we got Aflac, huh?
Aflac?
Oh, I've just got major medical.
Major medical. Where's the doctor's boy?
Huh?
Hello everyone, today we are going to be doing this Aflac duck. So the Aflac duck is really cool because there's a circuit board inside of this, and a lot of this stuff you can actually find, and people pretty much throw it away. They just give it to the Goodwill or whatever, because if you hear, this no longer makes sound. And the reason it doesn't make sound is because most likely this is out of batteries, because there's absolutely no space in here to replace the batteries. So a normal person, when something like this runs out of batteries, they're not going to be able to replace the batteries or do anything like that without cutting it open, and most people don't want to do that. And obviously this is a bit older. It's about 2011. And the first thing we're going to need to do is obviously replace the batteries and just ensure that it works. And the way we're going to close this up is we're going to have a mounting board right here. But we're also going to have a place that people can go ahead and enclose the batteries, which I'm thinking is probably back here. So let's go ahead and open it up. So now that we have this open and we've restored the working condition on this, you can see inside of here our options for a tempo tone bend are obviously relying right here on this resistor. And it sounds like we are going to be good on this one. So it's that R1 resistor right there that is causing that tempo tone bend. So we're going to need to solder onto that. And to solder onto that, it's going to be very hard to solder in here. So what I'm going to do, much like the owl, we're going to go ahead and pull out this board. So I'm going to remove the button here. And then I'm just going to try to wiggle the board out. And just be patient with it, because these boards are not the strongest. I'm more concerned about keeping the board intact than I am getting it out. So there you go. The board is out. So we're going to go ahead and solder onto each side of this. And how I'm going to do this is I'm actually going to solder onto here, and then I'm going to solder onto this side of the resistor. And these are one of the really cool boards that I could actually scratch this top surface off, and that'll give me a little extra support when I solder onto this resistor. If I go ahead and carry that over onto this side and solder onto the track as well. Since it's a micro resistor and we have this set in kind of a weird way, I'm going to go ahead and hot glue this just so we have a little bit of extra security here and we don't have to worry about this pulling up from the board. There you go, that's going to give us a little bit of extra security. Because the last thing we want to happen is for this to actually pull up off the board and peel the board with it. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and I did test this just to make sure that it does work. So it is working on the other side. So I was going through and testing out the bends, and what I noticed was our tempo tone control. It reaches a high point up here, and we've got all of this play. So it's got quite a bit of play here. And then on the low side, you kind of have the same deal. So it's all this play before it actually functions and lets you do anything. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to add some type of resistor on this center wire, and what that's going to do is it's going to eliminate some of that play on both sides. We have all the bends on the board. The next step is we want to go ahead and secure all of these. So we made sure that they are all functional. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is just put a light amount of hot glue on these parts that the bolts don't have to go through, or these little plastic pads don't have to go through. Then I'm going to stick plastic pad back down inside of here. So now we have that. Now we're going to put a little bit of hot glue around some of these points. And I'm going to leave the speaker wires and everything kind of untouched. Not super worried about them. And that looks good to me. Then our next step is going to be finding a place that we can actually put these wires. And we're going to cut out a hole on the side here. And it broke off. Not super worried about that. That's completely fine to me. Because now we're going to bring this out. We're going to go and drop hot glue on the bottom here. A little bit on the top. And we're just going to pull that down. So the last thing we're going to be doing is something that we do not even need the board open for now that we have the Pro Sound installed. So what we're going to be doing here is simply testing the LEDs to see if they work. So this is a color changing LED. This is not super bright, but it does have a kind of Christmassy look to it. And maybe if we do get a new fresh pair of batteries, because the batteries I'm using in this are actually older, maybe it will brighten up a bit. But I think it's still worth installing regardless. So it looks a bit better the other way right here. So I think definitely worth installing. So we're going to install it this way. So I said the last thing we were going to do is add the LED, but I forgot there was actually one more thing on this one. So we are adding a sound outbreak button. And what that is a button that we can pretty much plug into and use at our leisure at any distance we want. Of course there is going to be a limit to that, but this is going to be a 1/8 jack that's going to be plugging right into the button. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to go on the different sides of what this would make a mono 1/8 jack. So we have these two sides right here, And then this is the one that's going to be connecting down here, and then the one that's connected up top. So we're going to be connecting to these two. We're going to go ahead and solder onto this. Get the other side real quick. Then we're just going to be soldering it onto the other side of the button. Or not the other side of the button, we're soldering the other side onto the button. Just as we would a normal button. Alright, so now we have our 1/8 jack plugged in, soldered just like that. And now what you can actually do is simply run this jack wherever you need to. You have a breakout button. Now ideally you would want on the other side the opposite, so this exact same setup right here, just on the opposite end. So the 1/8 jack running to the button, and then you have your breakout.